to find freedom. This moment isn't my moment, or even the moment of the college. It's the moment of this community. It's the moment of each one of us. It's the moment of the dreams for our children, for their children, and for the generations to come. We could not be here without the sacrifices our parents made and grandparents, but we wouldn't be standing here today without the Martin family. And I would like Pedro to stand and be recognized along with his wife and children. When the tower shuttered closed, and it could have just been another building, it could have been another high-rise, the Mas family and Jorge Macanosa had a dream. And it was one simple dream, a free Cuba. And that this building could represent and recognize that. And if not for the Mas family to first rescue it, and the Martin family to then bring us this moment, to entrust the community's college. You see, I hope today you take the time to visit the towers. Because the first tower is about Julia Tuttle, about Flagler, and about the train that still goes by at 5 o'clock during rush hour traffic. It's about, fortunately, oranges that could survive here, and she called them and said it needed to come to Miami from Palm Beach. And the second tower is about Governor Cox. He ran for the President of the United States and he lost. So what did he do? Someone else goes to do something else. He decides that he wants to build Miami's tallest skyscraper. For what? To tell the Miami story, for the Miami Daily News. So if you love architecture, that's where you want to wander and see what Stern Weaver put together in this magical tower. And the third one is such an important moment in this tower, because it's July of 1925, and Miami puts out a paper that's called the Miami Daily News. And if you could believe this, it was 504 pages and 7.5 pounds that told our story. And there you see that moment. And the first tower there is this room, because you're sitting in a refugio. You're sitting in a place that was divided by barriers of walls of doctors and dentists who could not practice anywhere in the United States. Outside the door it said doctors needed, no U.S. license required. It's where so many found their family doctor who'd come here too, searching for freedom. It's where the Catholic services and Jewish services and community came together to help someone fill out a paper like my mom, so they could start the visa waiver program. It had a wall that was la pizarra de oportunidad, that is upstairs. It's the wall of luck. It's the wall of opportunity. It's the wall when you needed your first job babysitting for 33 cents, you could find it there. That's where we're sitting, in this room. And when we started this project, we stood in this room, in this empty room, and said, you know, we can't let this magical room become a refugio. Although people were like saying, well, you have to recreate it, because we wanted this room to be today. And so we recreated it in that tower. That's what you see in that tower. And the following tower, it's the tower that Celia Cruz sings outside these doors for the first and for the last time, the song. Draped with the Cuban flag. Por si acaso no regreso. tengo mi bandera. That's the story of that tower. It's this tower, the Martin family. That last tower is the tower of the love affair that Miami-Dade College and the Freedom Tower share. You see, Miami-Dade College opened its doors in the 1960, September 6, 1960, 65 years ago, at the North Campus. Imagine that campus. And imagine our own family, like my mother, who went there to study English to become a teacher. The former president of this college, Eduardo Padron, that was a student at the North Campus. He's at that tower because only God and only the great America allows and creates an opportunity and hope that a young man who traveled as a young boy and Pedro Pang becomes the president of Miami-Dade College, and only some young girl from Hialeah who played basketball one day returns to the college as its president. And only God in this great states of America allows her the privilege of a lifetime to give to each of you this gift, the gift of us. Because 100 years later, this tower, when you go upstairs and you go through the exhibit, it's the story of us. And when you stand in the skylight room, which is beautiful and bright, and it was the first press room, it still is telling the story of us, the story of our Miami. There's a reason we call it the Magic City, because today it's magic. This is the magical moments that life gives us. These are the magical moments God gives us. And so I want to thank every one of you for being here. When we sent out the emails, we didn't know if you got them or didn't got them. And at one time I said, Miriam, maybe nobody's going to show up. Did you invite so-and-so? I felt like an old vieja when their daughter was getting married and they wanted like the second cousin that went to New Jersey like Carlos Migoya did and have them come for the wedding. And like an old lady, it was 1 o'clock in the morning and I would send crazy text messages of people that I would remember and I would say, it's only my mother. Invitates a la tía. Invitates a cookie. So here you are, because this moment is for you. This moment is for every one of you and what you do in this community. This moment is for each one of us, how we've held our hands, given each other a hug, and helped each other through. But nobody arrives to this moment alone. I didn't do this by myself. And if you all know, I can't ever be scripted, and I don't read scripts or teleprompters. But my team gave me these papers like they gave Jorge Plasencia, so I wouldn't leave anybody out, like he did. And I see Tom Fabricio and Depi Busada and Alex Rizzo and Romeo Brito and Emilio Stefan. I see so many of you and friends that are here. But let me go through some people who really made this happen that I owe so much gratitude for. And the first and foremost is the District Board of Trustees. This was a dream. And just like our parents didn't know sometimes how they'd pay the next bill, but somebody told them just keep going, you all told me just keep going. Just keep going. So without you, I'm not here, and without you, we're not standing here. And I want to say, Chairman Michael Baleka, stand up. Vice Chair, the Honorable Roberto Alonso. A champion of democracy and freedom, Marcel Felipe. Ismari Monreal. Juan Segovia. Jose Felix Diaz. And Anai Abraham. And then I want all the former trustees, Marily Cancio, Helen Aguirre Ferret, Bernie Navarro, Leslie Pantine. This college is not anything without you all. Thank you. Thank you. Carlos Migoya, who's not sitting where he's supposed to, also former trustee. Thanks for that vote of confidence. The members of the Miami-Dade College Foundation, starting with our chair, Jorge Plasencia. George, we've been friends for so many years. We've buried our moms. Our dads were bankers, and who could have imagined when we asked you to be the chair, we would share in this moment here together. I love you and I value you always. Pablo Pino, our vice chair and former chair. Carlos Guzman says that's always the best title ever. Our team at the college, Provost Malou C. Harrison. Two people whom I know we would not have arrived to opening today in September. When I said we would open up September, first day of Hispanic Heritage, kind of made sense, you know, you just drop those days. We walked this a month ago and people said, you're not opening in a month. I don't think we technically have, if any of the inspectors are in here, have like the full occupancy thing, but no pasó nada. En buen momento. No ha pasado nada. That is Dr. Miriam Borrego, Senior Vice President and Chief Operating Officer. The college isn't always just the workforce engine. That's a really important part of our mission as Democracy's College, but it's also the cultural engine of this community. Whether it's arts or the book fair or music or theater, you've had a moment of art and culture because of Miami-Dade College. Our leader, our Executive Director of Cultural Affairs, Maria Carla Chicuen. Thank you. Thank you for indulging all the crazy text, all the moments, the vision for the towers, and they kept coming back to convince me maybe the towers couldn't happen. So you would all know this. We would do mataburros. Heide and Jose Dans took a chance at it too. We built these things to figure out what size they needed to be and if they could fit. And here are the towers. That's magic. And then there's the scholars. The scholars keep it real, keep it serious when we want to hang something that you can't and it doesn't meet the historian's thing. And that's our team at the Museum of Art and Design, starting with our Executive Director and Chief Curator, Amy Galvin, who probably is not here. Amy, without a doubt, is running around with, probably checking exhibits out right now, or with Clara Toro. Where is Clara Toro? Clara has taken 350 plus pictures that you will see upstairs in the Voices of Miami, which is the oral history of everyone in Miami that has shared their story. Whether you came through the doors or whether you're a bookseller in Little Haiti, our stories are there and we wanted to capture that. The members of the Freedom Tower Centennial Committee. Emilio. If you have a little idea, just go have lunch with Emilio, because he makes an enormous idea. That theater, when you walk into the introductory theater, was Emilio's vision. When we said, don't you think we need a theater? And he said, yes, but it has to be a curved wall, and music, and Miami. And the host committee, every step of the way, provided that kind of insight. Jimmy and Vivian Quiroga, I know all of you want this pin. They created the pin for the Freedom Tower Centennial. Remedios Oliver, who couldn't be here with us, So one day I say to Remedios, I need you. And she says, what do you need? And I said, just convene all the cool women. I never get invited to those women who lunch. Can we have a women who lunch moment? She goes, mijita, sí. And with her partner in crime, Lilian Machado, we put together the best women in Miami. And that way, and the only way that we've learned everything we've learned from our parents, Lillian reached over, squeezed my hand, and said, count with my support. Thank you. That meant the world to me. There's someone special that I have to talk about in this moment on our host committee. If you know him, he doesn't like any committees whatsoever. He doesn't like his name on anything, and that's Max Alvarez. So he teamed us up with Carmen because we wanted to make sure that Pedro Pan was told here, that the 14,000 children like Max and Tony Arguez, also on our host committee, that we told the story here, that there could be nowhere else that we would share the Pedro Pan story. And you trusted us to do it. You trusted us and you invested in us, along with Mike and others who said, let's do it. And when you go upstairs, if I ever wanted to make somebody proud in this museum, was to all the girls and boys of Pedro Pan. What courage your parents had, but what courage you had to stay the course. To be 14 or 15 or 16 and not know what would happen next, but to believe. And you are not only champions of freedom and democracy, but you're champion of believers. You're champion of believers. We get to tell our children about 14-year-olds that had nothing when they complain about their phone battery died or something. You will be remembered for generations to come as those that no barriers we can't break through, that no opportunity can be left behind or squandered, and that no sacrifice that our mothers and fathers make for us can ever go by the wayside. Thank you to each of you that made up our host committee, as Pedro Pan, Vivian Beleca, I mean so many. If you could just stand, I'd like to make sure everyone recognizes our host committee, Pepe and Heide, Max, Carmen, Tony. I'm off script, so now I'm really making them worry so much. So now we'll get to some of the brick and mortar stuff. I want to say that Governor DeSantis couldn't be here today, but what a champion. When we said we need $25 million, he came, he stood here in front of a podium that said Patria y Vida. And our entire Miami-Dade delegation, if you can stand up to be recognized. Alex Rizzio, Tom Fabricio, Alexis, Demi, Omar, Vicky. Barquin, you get up because you voted yes. You were there. You said yes. And I thought we won. We hit a home run, $25 million. Esto no es nada. We got this. And then we had our first meetings with local projects that made the vision become a reality. And I go, ay, mamá. Babiquén y la 79 los vamos. But that entire team at local projects, Marcel Felipe said something to me one day, no deja que los gringos digan la historia. And boy, that stuck firm. When I met with local projects, I think half the meeting was in Spanish. I would curate these moments. Look, Maria Carla's laughing. She didn't know whether to cry or not when I would whip out my Cuban stories. And then I would say, no, go interview 100 more people. You didn't get it right. We're not putting the Florida room over here. And it didn't look like that. You need a white couch with plastic. And then you're in our living room, not our Florida room. Because these chairs are really symbolic of our then dining rooms and Florida room with rattan. So when I wasn't sure about these chairs, they said, but it's a very Cuban chair. I go, okay. But local projects, Media Pro, when you see the digital magic of this building and it comes to life in the way that we gather information, know that it's Media Pro alongside local projects. MC Harry, Via, Richard Heisenbottle, what amazing team of designers to think we could do, and for always saying yes. Maybe you didn't want to, but thank you for saying yes, at least to me, and letting the team handle the no. But we'd all come back to yes, that everything was possible. Because if we could come through these doors without anything, clearly we could make this magical place it is today, along with Riggs Ward. Thank you. Our multiple partners and collaborators, and before I go there, can the Thornton construction team and the state construction team stand and be recognized? Leadership requires crazy and courage, and you had both to follow us on this project. Thank you so much. And now to our partners. When you go up to the 3rd and the 4th floor, there's a FIFA museum called Unidos, which is about uniting all of us, because we know that football unites. Yes. They have been a great partner, not because they're here in the Freedom Tower, but because they've provided opportunities to our students. More than 35 students already internships, 8 already hired full-time. Our students are just amazed at the opportunities, and we look forward to our partnership, and along with our local FIFA team and Alina right in the back there, as we celebrate in 2026 the World Cup. I cannot say FIFA without saying Carlos Cordero. Thank you, Carlos. You have been a confidant. You have been a friend. And man, you have accepted orders from pushy ladies. Your mom is one amazing mom because she raised you well to just say, sí, yes, we can do that. The Knight Foundation, Ceci Quesada's here. Maribel couldn't be with us. But when we went and we shared to the Knight team that's here, this project, they immediately said, yes, count on us, and invested and kept me off the street somewhere begging for other money, and I really appreciate that. The Wolfson family, Randy, Chris, you're here. Thank you for always saying yes. The Pedro Pan Museum, stand and thank you so much. The Bay of Pigs Museum and Library, the Archdiocese of Miami, the University of Miami Library's Cuban Heritage Collection, History Miami, St. Thomas University, FIU Special Collections and University Archives, the Celia Cruz Foundation, the Miami Herald and Nuevo Herald, Dario Las Americas, Nelson, gracias, Helen Aguirre Ferrer, gracias. When you go to the Skylight Room, you will see the papers there. It is a special treat. The National Victims of Communism, the Shepherd Broad Foundation, the Ortega Foundation, República Habas. If you love this logo, that was the team of the Freedom Tower. Thank you. When you go upstairs, you get a little Versalles and cafecito. Thank you to the team at Versalles. Addes Miami, U.S. Century Bank, the DDA and Christina Crespi, O'Donnell and Goldberg Public Relations, you have done an amazing job telling our story. I would like to ask everyone that is a Miami-Dade College Hall of Fame inductee to please stand and be recognized. When the Miami Today publishes the best of Miami, I think they just have to publish this group. Thank you. you for all of your contributions to the college. And one special recognition. If you came through the Freedom Tower, if you walked through these doors when it was a refugio, with your dreams for freedom, for libertad, and for hope and opportunity, please stand. If you were a political prisoner, and maybe you didn't come through a refugio, but you gave up so many years of your life, if you were a political prisoner, or if your mother or father was a political prisoner, please stand. We honor you today and always for your sacrifices. To the courageous men of La Brigada, if you're here, we want you to stand and be recognized, and if you're a daughter or a son of one of our brigade courageous men, please stand. Our generation will be indebted to you forever. And I stand here with so many of us to feel that I feel, that we were born into an amazing generation of creative and courageous and loving men and women. And that we raise our families in that same way. And that we stand here today to promise you that those sacrifices will stay here, present forever. Thank you, and God bless each of you.
Came with nothing. All of us came homeless, with nothing.
Tú puedes tener toda una vida si no tienes libertad como que tal precio.
That came unaccompanied.
Tanta separación y tanto sufrimiento.
The exiles did to try to fight for their freedom. These are truly human stories.
The Cuban story.
So you're getting to Miami. You're now in Miami, and the first thing you see is our beautiful and beloved Freedom Tower. The Miami of the early 60s.
Historic restoration architects restored every element of the original architecture, but also that we really took advantage of this unique opportunity to tell the history of the tower and to transform it into a 21st century center of culture, education, and the arts in the heart of downtown Miami.
For us to preserve the tower, it is one of a handful of historic monuments that we have in Miami. And it's the spirit of Miami. It was started in the 20s as a newspaper, and then it became a place where Cuban migrants really found hope. When we started to restore the tower this time, we wanted to create an exhibit which was called Libertad, and that exhibit would be the journey of hope and opportunity and would pay kind of respects to the legacy of a generation of Cuban exiles that went through the Freedom Tower. So many people care so deeply about bringing the Freedom Tower back to life.
I think the most powerful thing is going to be both our community locally being able to come through here, bring children through here, bring schools through here again so they can learn all about the history.
I think history is long, but memory is short. So I think it's important that it serve as a reminder going forward. So I think it's important that we have something to remind people.
I think that when people walk through the tower, they're going to feel the love. They're going to feel the love of so many who have contributed to this beautiful exhibit, that you'll be inspired by Miami and you'll be inspired by the tower.
The encounter gave a different emotion that it was just profound, and I just can't imagine what my parents and my husband's parents must have gone through.
It was very different, like when you see it, because you know, you hear your whole life, but then you come in and then you see it, and the suitcases, and that they literally came with one suitcase. So you actually see it and you feel it. So it was very surreal.
That finally your own story was out there, was honored, was known. When someone walks through these halls and listens to the stories and sees the images, they're going to take back a part of the Cuban heart.
Freedom is one of the most precious things a human being can have, and the Freedom Tower is the symbol of that.
The Freedom Tower to me means hope.
Our symbol of hope and opportunity. The Freedom Tower means history, love and happiness.
The place that gave them a refuge. The Freedom Tower means home.
The Freedom Tower reflects the spirit of Miami.
The Freedom Tower is Miami at its best.
I know I'm biased, but that logo is pretty extraordinary. I thank my team here and everybody that is in that video. Thank you for your words and your expressions. As I was standing over there, I did get text messages. So I just want to acknowledge some very important individuals that have joined us. Ralph Rosaro, congratulations. Our new City of Miami District 4 Commissioner and Chair of the Downtown DDA. Commissioner from District 1, City of Miami, Miguel Gavela. Commissioner, there he is. Jim Hodge, President and CEO of the Children's Trust. Jim. And County Commissioner Kean Harden. Thank you so much for being here. And I promise you, very soon you'll be going upstairs and you'll be touring it. But just give us a few more moments, because this is a historic day. So please don't be looking at your watches and your phones. Just take it in, because I like to remind myself, moments are moments that don't happen again. We'll all be remembering this moment a year from now, 5 years from now, 20 years from now, and saying we were there. So take in the moment, please, as we go through the program, because we're not done yet. So with that, I'd like to invite Lieutenant Governor Jay Collins of the great state of Florida to join me up here. Thank you, Lieutenant Governor, to you and the Governor for your support. We couldn't have done it without you.
Well, how on earth do you follow that? My goodness gracious. Thank you, Madam President. God is good. Look at what we have here. Look at this room. Look at the people, the stories, the reality of what this is. You kind of took us to church today, is what it feels like, the Church of Freedom, and it is a good message. This isn't just about Miami. This is about America, and Florida is just spotlit right here in Miami. Thank you for leading. It's beautiful. It is my honor and a privilege to be here today as the Lieutenant Governor. I think we're on day 35, something like that. And this is incredibly important to me. There is no place that I'd rather be. And if it's all right, I want to give a little bit of my backstory. So newsflash, I'm going to go just a little bit off script as well. Not super long, I promise. So La Brigada, the people in the back there, what you may not know is that many of them had moonlighting jobs, teaching Green Berets, people like me. You see, I served 23 years as an Army Green Beret. I loved it so much, I did 5 years after. Thank you. I did 5 years after losing my leg. But you see, the people who raised us up in our regiment were Max and Felix, and people who taught us all that was lost, the true price of freedom, how sacred and how at risk freedom can be. That if good men and good women don't stand up, all that we love and all that we have can be lost. Max, it's so good to see you today. Thank you. You know, this building, this Freedom Tower, is indicative of not just Miami and not just those stories, though you can hear and you can feel the lives and the families and the stories. You know, God is good, and His plan is so much bigger than our plan. Right now in our nation, we need a moment like this. Ronald Reagan often believed that we were the shining city on the hill. I believe in Florida we are that light, and right now that light is emanating right here at the Freedom Tower because of your stories, your fight, what we all stand for right here today. You heard a couple of great words earlier, hope. Hope is a powerful word, but I believe the single most powerful word in our language is tomorrow, because embedded in tomorrow is hope. Hope to choose what we want to do, to be bigger than we were, to change all that we have that lies ahead of us, to leave the past behind us, but never forget where we came from. Hope tomorrow brought us freedom. Today, this is an amazing story, a story of sacrifice and courage, families that lost all that they had to come here and to teach others what they really should care about. 1925, look at the roots it came from the news to Miami-Dade College, to a beacon, a symbol of freedom for our state. Y'all, this is amazing. Madam President, I can't thank you enough for your vision, for your leadership, for your follow-through. For the board, thank you. Thank you for partnering with her, and for the community, for La Brigada, for the families tied into that. Thank you. Thank you for your courage. Thank you for teaching people around you what it is that mattered. And thank you for making Miami your home, but Florida your state, and making America just a little bit richer because of all that you stand for. You know, America, to me, is a generational promise. It's paid for by the sacrifice of heroes. It's no matter your beginnings, here, freedom lives. Liberty is possible. And the American dream is something we can all achieve because of moments like this, because of people that made this possible. This state was privileged to be a part of this. That $25 million is money well spent simply because of the stories being told. Congratulations, God bless you, may God continue to bless the free state of Florida. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you again for those words and your support. Okay, let me just get back to where I'm supposed to be here. And now I would like to, hold on 2 seconds. Yes. Now I would like to invite lifelong friend, the mayor of the city of Miami, Francis Suarez.
It's a double hard act to follow. And I had to follow the president last week, so I know what that feels like. Lieutenant Governor, Mayor Levine Cava, Bishop Wensky, Father Menendez, President Pumariaga, mayors, senators, state representatives, commissioners, and all other elected officials who are here, and distinguished guests. Let me begin by saying, wow. Wow, Madeline. For those of you who have not yet experienced what you're about to experience in a few moments, the only appropriate word is wow. It's something that's going to completely and utterly change your perspective on the Pedro Pan moment and movement and history in our country and in our city. I want to say thank you to Madeline, to her board, to the state, to everyone who contributed to this event. Not only for my father, who was the first Cuban-born mayor, not only for my grandfather, who was a political prisoner, and his brother, who died in a Cuban jail. His grandson is here with me. He's my chief of staff, Carlos Suarez. I really want to say thank you for my children. have an 11-year-old and I have a precocious 7-year-old daughter. And as was mentioned, history is something that can never be forgotten. But in order for it not to be forgotten, it must be preserved. It must be protected. We must invest. And so thanks to this stewardship of this incredible asset, which is the Freedom Tower, Senator Catalayud, one of the people not introduced, thank you for being here. Because of this incredible asset that we have, we are going to be able to tell this story for generations and generations and generations. It's not just about the remembrance of what happened. Government has, and the only equality that has created in the history of humanity is equality of suffering, equality of poverty, and equality of oppression. You want me to start all over again? No. I think you guys get the gist. We live in the greatest country on earth. In my opinion, we live on the greatest city on earth. And it's not just because of our beautiful beaches or our incredible weather. In my opinion, it's because of our amazing people. People who fight tooth and nail, who love this city, who love this community, to preserve the history that we have since 1896 when we were incorporated. Madeline, thank you. Thank you on behalf of my children. Thank you on behalf of my father. Thank you on behalf of my grandfather. You are a doer. You are a rock star. I'm excited when I have opportunities to bring to you because I know A, most likely the answer will be yes. And B, it's not just a yes. It's a yes with an ability to make it happen. And there was one opportunity that I brought you not that long ago when I came with Gianni Infantino and Carlos Cordeiro with an idea of having an exhibit for FIFA in this iconic building, which was their only requirement, by the way. They only said, we just want it to be in an iconic building. I said, well, there's not that many iconic buildings in Miami, but this is certainly one of them. And today, you are giving us not just a history of our culture, not just a history of our country and our country of birth. For many, you are also giving us a window into the world, and we are eternally grateful. Thank you to all of you who are here today. Thank you for coming here, for supporting this incredible institution. And we ask you to please bring your children, bring your grandchildren, bring the next generation so that they understand who we are and who we will never become. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for those words. Now I'd like to invite Trustee of Miami-Dade College, Marcel Felipe, to join us up here. Thank you.
Gracias, joven. I'm going to start saying a few words in Spanish because one of the media outlets that's here is Radio and TV Martí, and what they post gets to Cuba. So I'm going to start by sending a message to Cuba. La celebración que estamos haciendo hoy aquí de libertad y de democracia es en nombre de ustedes, es en nombre de todos los que siguen luchando hoy en día por una Cuba libre. Es en nombre de Rosa María Payá, en nombre de Orlando Gutiérrez, en nombre de la brigada que después de 63 años sigue haciendo una diferencia en la lucha por la Cuba de hoy en día. Esto lo hacemos en nombre de los presos políticos que hoy en día siguen en las mazmorras castristas. Este mensaje sé que les llega a ustedes de una manera u otra. Así que a José Daniel Ferrer, sigue en tu lucha, que tienes un pueblo mirándote su liderazgo. Michael Osorbo, Luis Manuel Otero Alcántara, Félix Navarro, todos ustedes están haciendo historia. Miami los está mirando, el mundo los está mirando y juntos vamos a llegar a ese día que tengamos libertad. Gracias, Ninosca, por seguir siendo una voz. Gracias a nuestro exilio, que después de 65 años no se cansa y no se rinde. Seguimos adelante hasta que Cuba sea libre. I want to thank you in indulgence of those of you that don't speak Spanish. But believe me, it's important because what we do here gets to that dark, humid cell where that person is constantly being told that they're wrong, that the government is right, that their effort is in vain, and they will be of no use. And the only light of hope that they have is days like this, where we tell them that we're still shining a light for their freedom. So I beg your indulgence. Now, what we're doing today is honoring and fulfilling so many decades of dreams and honoring so many people that have gone through here. One of the first people that we have to honor are the folks that actually came through these halls. And some might say, well, where's the honor in that? They were just refugees asking for a handout. Well, I'll tell you what the honor is in that. Cuban Americans is the first, perhaps the only group in American history that didn't come looking for a better economic future. Cuban Americans came from all walks of life. Many left extremely successful businesses. Many renounced promising banking careers to come and pick tomatoes in the fields of Homestead, of serve as waitresses in the restaurants. But they did it, and they traded all their wealth for one simple concept, which is freedom. And that is an admirable and honorable trait in any human being, to leave everything you have for the same simple concept that nothing, no form of material wealth, can equal the dignity that freedom gives you as a human being. Those were the heroes of that generation. And believe me, when you're staring at a totalitarian society, that anything you say or do, like Armando Valladares, who spent 22 years in prison for failing to put a picture of Fidel Castro on his desk, it takes a lot of honor to say, I'm not joining the crowd. I'm not going to say paredón next to everybody else. I'm going to stake my position and say, this is wrong. I'm going to fight. Those are heroes. But there's another set of heroes that we often forget in the story of the Freedom Tower. And that is the people that came here to provide those refugees with services. Because let me tell you, that is one of the most beautiful parts of the story of the Freedom Tower. It wasn't just other Cuban exiles who came here and provided help. It was the Jewish community. It was the American community. It was the black community. There is a saying that you often hear from those, the first wave of exiles. They will tell you, when we first got here, it wasn't so easy. There was a lot of signs on apartments for rent that said, no blacks, no Cubans, no dogs. And that certainly could have been something to hold you back. But we Cubans knew, and we knew because of our contact with people here at the Freedom Tower, that for every single person behind one of those signs, there were 9 others welcoming us with open arms to this great, beautiful country that is the United States of America. And that is something that we will always take with you, that gratitude of being allowed into the American family to pursue our dream. And one of the people that fulfilled that dream was Jorge Mascanosa. Jorge Mascanosa, at our museum, which I also invite you to visit, the American Museum of the Cuban Diaspora, we chose to begin the exhibit, the permanent exhibit, with a video of Jorge Mascanosa. There's a clip of him he's, as he usually was, in a very agitated state because he couldn't wait to tell people about freedom, to tell people about our story. And he's lecturing to the members of Congress. He's not telling, he's lecturing to the members of Congress. And he's saying, you know what? He said something that really captures, we put it at the front of the museum because it really captures the essence of being a Cuban American. He said, I was a milkman. I washed a lot of dishes in the hotels in Miami Beach. And just last week, I opened a publicly traded company in the New York Stock Exchange. I've been extremely successful. My community has been extremely successful. And that is not just something that we owe to ourselves. We owe to this great country for which we are eternally grateful that opened the doors and gave us that opportunity. But just as we have fulfilled the American dream, he paused and he said, as long as there is communism and dictatorship on that island, we will never forget our brothers and sisters on that island. That is the Cuban American promise. He is so much here with us. Ninoka, I know you feel him. Ninoka was probably one of the people that was with him at every single moment. And it's such a full circle to have her here with us today. But he didn't see the dream get realized. It had to take another prominent Cuban American family to say, you know what? This destiny has put us in charge of this particular icon. And the only right thing to do is to gift it to the city with the condition, which is right there on that deed. I'm one of those nerds, I've read the deed, that it has to be turned into a museum. So, to your family, thank you so much for that gift. If it wasn't for you, this day would not be here today. And I could see he's emotional from that video. I could see the emotion. It's real, we all feel it. But after that, one thing led to another. Daily life gets in the way, and it still wasn't happening. We still didn't have a museum. Then I get a call from the Speaker of the Florida House of Representatives, Jose Oliva, and then the governor, and the Lieutenant Governor, Jeanette Nunez. And they say, we'd like you to serve on the board of Miami-Dade College Board of Trustees. And I said, why? I mean, it's an honor, but every waking moment that I'm not focused on my business, I'm focused on what political prisoner we need to get out, what head of state do we need to reach. I'm focused on the freedom of Cuba. What is education? You know, I'm not the illogical choice. And he said, well, we're at a pivotal point in Miami-Dade College history. We're choosing a new president. And you're always complaining about the Confucius Institute, the Chinese government-backed Confucius Institute, and the fact that we still don't have a Freedom Tower museum. Go there and make it happen. Of course, the trade-off was we had to get into the battle for the search of the new president, which was going to be controversial. And in that search, there were so many excellent and qualified candidates. Excellent. I mean, top of the line. Everybody wants to be in Miami because of what this community has created, the special place that you guys have created here. And most of the people, as we interviewed, the different board members, the different candidates, would say, oh yeah, that Freedom Tower, I'd like to learn more about that. You know, because the first thing from my end was, do you understand that you're not just leading an academic institution? You're going to be the trustee of one of the most iconic buildings in Miami. And it's your job to restore this and make it happen. So everyone's, yeah, I'd like to learn more about that. When I met with Madeline, she says, that's one of the reasons I want the job. My father went through that. And one of my missions, my primary goals, is going to be to restore that museum. So as you could imagine, for someone that was in here for that particular purpose, to find someone that had even a bigger drive than I did to make this a reality, it was love at first sight. And I gotta tell you that from every single angle, one of the most eye-opening experiences that I've had was serving on this board with so many wonderful people. The board's changed over the years, but we haven't yet had anybody that isn't a spectacular member of this board, that hasn't really pulled their weight. And I really, really want to take a moment to recognize the leadership of somebody that I think I haven't had the opportunity to meet a leader that is so disinterested and so, what's the word I'm looking for? So good at getting things done, which is our chairman, Mike Beleka. What a steady hand. So finally I said, hey, great, you get a great leader, what you really want to do in business, you want to get a great leader and then let them go. But did we let her go? Immediately, Madeline got to work. And the first thing was, we need $25 million, and no one's going to see it, because it's not $25 million for the museum, it's $25 million to keep the building alive. And as I said, this is a work of everyone. We called the governor's office, we started a campaign on America TV, and what did the governor say? Very similar to Madeline's message. This is not something you got to ask me, this is something I want to do. And we got the $25 million. And then Madeline went out and extended that and said, you know what? Now I'm really going to put the pedal to the metal. And she started bringing in what I call the beautiful people, the Cuban royalty. She started bringing in a great, great Freedom Tower committee comprised of people like Miguel Besos, Emilio Estefan. I mean, who can put together this kind of team? Only Madeline, and the reason Madeline can put it is because of her enthusiasm for what we're doing here. Her enthusiasm for her community is contagious, and you see it every day in every single thing she does. 1 in the morning, but not 1 in the morning on Wednesday, 1 in the morning on Saturday. She's always thinking Miami, she's always thinking Miami-Dade College. So, from the bottom of my heart, it takes an entire team. She put the fire under Maria Carla. Maria Carla, everybody, I mean, down to the detail. So it's a pleasure to have served on this board, or to continue serving on this board with all of you. What a great new day for the new members that are just joining us today on this board. I think there's just a beginning of a lot of great things that are going to come right here at this museum. We have the Institute for Freedom of the Americas. We're through the Meserani Cátedra, we're going to have all the heads of state coming on board. I thank you. Enjoy the moment, and I'll close with saying something about our host today, our maitre d'. Everybody knows Plasencia for his success in business and his untiring waiver and of support for civic causes. But few people know, and if you visit our museum, you'll learn about this, that Plasencia's father, together with the Isaías family from Ecuador, started with the Republic National Bank, was the first bank to give loans to Cuban exiles who had no credit and who had no money and no collateral. But they did the handshake loan, the character loans. And today, most of the businesses that you see in Miami that are great businesses started with his father. So he's also Cuban royalty.
Thank you for honoring my dad and that whole era of all those great men and women at Republic National Bank. República is named República in honor of them. Now I'd like to introduce our great mayor, Daniela Levin Cava.
Well, good morning, everyone. What a pride and joy to be with all of you, and I know you're all eager to go look and see the remarkable refurbished Freedom Tower. So I will be very brief, but I do want to say for me as well that this is not just a special place, it's a sacred place. This is a sacred place. We know for those who came here for refugio, for refuge, those who fought for freedom in Cuba and here still fight, those who sacrificed their lives and their freedom, and indeed for all of us, because this truly is our history. This is history for all of us here in Miami. And thank you to everyone who's contributed, and we've heard so many acknowledged rightfully because of what they've done to make sure that history in this place is accurately and beautifully captured so that generations of Miami-Dade residents and visitors can enjoy this timeless treasure. And none more so than my sister of another mother, our president, Madeline Pumariega. Thank you, Madeline. So now, with all of this effort, history will continue to live and breathe here with new life. This building has stood tall for a century already, but what makes it so truly powerful is not the walls or the beautiful architecture, but the human stories that it holds and that we will be able to experience for time immemorial. These are the stories of men and women and children who fled dictatorship and persecution, arriving here with little more than faith and a suitcase, perhaps, with a few treasured belongings. And many of those belongings, which is a reminder that behind every journey, there is a life, a family, and a dream for a better future. So here began the story of so many of Miami's future leaders and shapers, so many in this room today. Very, very powerful message that we're here together. But every person who passed through these walls or was touched personally by this story is represented by their own slice of the American dream, which they have obtained in this great place that we call home. So proud of our great Miami. This refugio is also known as the Ellis Island of the South. Which is also very special to me personally because my forebears came in through Ellis Island of the North. A beautiful, beautiful place to visit. It was at the beginning of the last century. They were escaping oppression and persecution as well as Jewish refugees who came to discover their American dream. So Ellis Island captures that chapter for so many, and now this chapter marks a new chapter for our history here in Miami. So I know that visitors will be inspired to dig deeper into this history, and this is a reminder to all of us and to the world that we stand proud and strong to open doors for this special, great county and country that has opened our doors to immigrants, offering dignity and opportunity. The generations of immigrants who came through these doors in search of a new life, they built businesses, families, and homes here, including through the great bank that we just heard about, Placencia's father, that's great, and it made us the vibrant and dynamic place that we are today. So this is the backbone of our community, of which we can all be so proud and which we must never forget. We must never forget and give thanks. This will stand as a living testament to the endurance and bravery of all of those who passed through its doors. Thanks to Miami-Dade College, our partners in government, our philanthropists, and all of us who work to make this restoration possible. This National Historic Monument will continue to tell the story of the resilience and renewal for generations to come. So let us remember, for those fleeing oppression and seeking democracy, that we are a stronger, more vibrant community because of you. And may we honor the courage of those who came before us by making sure that Miami-Dade and our nation remains a place of freedom and opportunity for all. Thank you and God bless.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And now we're in our home stretch. I'd like to bring up two individuals. One I had the honor of working for. The other I had the honor of being in the room when he and his mom was remembering it this morning, and his sister, when the decision was made to convey this building to Miami-Dade College. I had the privilege to be there at that moment, and I just want to say thank you to you guys. I want to say thank you to Pedro and Mari and the family, because we wouldn't be here today if it weren't for you. So thank you guys. So I'm going to introduce, and I have to say Rosa Maria Paya was mentioned. She is here. Can I have a round of applause for Rosa Maria Paya? Where are you? I know you're here, so I saw you. But anyway, without any further ado, Emilio, Estefan, and David Martin, representing the Martin family. Stage right, please. Good morning, and I'll try to be quick. Buenos dias. It's a privilege to be here today at the Freedom Tower, un lugar sagrado that stands as a symbol of resilience, sacrifice, and pursuit of libertad. For my family, my father, my mother, my sister, my brother, my wife, Christina, this building is more than a landmark. It is part of our story. Mis abuelos, mis abuelas, like so many of Cuban exiles, arrived in Miami with little more than faith and determination. They passed through these very doors in search of a better life, and in doing so, they gave future generations, including me, the opportunity to live freely and to dream boldly. Hoy quiero honrar mis abuelos y mis abuelas, whose courage to leave everything behind, whose sacrifices and hard work laid the foundation for everything my family has been blessed with. The Freedom Towers are Ellis Island. Fue aquí donde miles de familias recibieron ayuda, orientación y esperanza. It was here that the Cuban exile community took its first steps toward rebuilding lives, businesses, and dignity. Su historia está también la historia de Miami. The Cuban exile generation transformed this city, its culture, its economy, its identity. Their love of libertad, their resilience, and their devotion to family helped make Miami the thriving and diverse community we celebrate today. Standing here reminds me that la libertad nunca se da por sentado. Freedom is never taken for granted. The Freedom Tower is not just a reminder of our past, it is a promise for the future. Que nunca olvidamos el sacrificio de nuestros abuelos, y que siempre trabajemos para construir un Miami más unido, más compasivo y lleno de esperanza. Muchas gracias.
Wow. Hoy es un día más que todo de celebración. Celebración porque solamente yo quiero decir que estoy tan orgulloso del exilio cubano, porque fue una generación que perdió todo ya después que tenían familia y tenían empresas, y empezaron aquí en Miami. Yo fui parte, yo estaba afuera a veces esperando para recoger un pedazo de oatmeal y de muchas cosas, el spam que nos daban y todo. Pero más que todo creo que lo principal es, este es el modelo que enseña a Cuba que una nueva generación puede triunfar, y esto puede pasar en Cuba. El mejor mensaje que nosotros podemos dar es ese mensaje, que vean lo que ustedes han hecho. Yo tengo dos canciones que me siento orgulloso que he escrito y he producido. Una es Por si acaso no regreso, a Celia Cruz, que fue un gran honor para mí, y la otra es que Gloria cantó, que dice, quiero mi Cuba libre para que la gente pueda bailar. Así. I gotta tell you, I've been so proud when they called me to score some of the Ellis Island that we've been a member for 21 years. I'm so proud when you listen our music, my music that I wrote, in Ellis Island. But I'm very proud you called me to work in some of the music here, because I have America. I have the national anthem that we record with 200 people, and we have the Libertad. So thank you so much for thinking of me. I'm so proud. My mom and my dad would never believe that kid that was there trying to get a piece of bread. I mean, a piece of, and even the doctors. I remember I came here for the doctors. I mean, this moment is a proud moment because I wrote some of the music that my grandson will listen. I'm proud to be Cuban. I'm proud to live in the best country in the whole world, and I'm proud of freedom. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Okay. I know he was mentioned a little while ago by Marcel Felipe, but I also want to mention him and officially welcome him on behalf of the Cuban American community to our community, because he's a Pedro Pan himself, and I know he's very proud to be here today. Mike Bezos, Miguel Bezos. Okay, so now we're gonna thank our friends at the Knight Foundation. Francesca de Quesada Covey, we'd love to have you come up and speak on behalf of Knight. Thank you for your support.
Thank you so much. Buenos días, buenas tardes, ¿cómo está todo el mundo? I know it has been a very long day, and it's a very bad day when you have to go after Emilio and David on stage, so I will make this very quick. On behalf of Maribel Perez Wadsworth, our president and CEO of the Knight Foundation, we are delighted to be here today. The story of the Freedom Tower is a deeply personal story to the Knight Foundation. We are headquartered in Miami, and the stories that you will hear upstairs include Maribel's stories of her family coming through this building, and you will see 3 generations of my own family brought to life with 2 little girls that can speak about their experience about being Cuban American, about being from Miami. For us, this is a beacon of opportunity, perseverance, and grit. And this is a symbol not just for Miami, but a symbol that we can take across the United States of a uniquely American story, a story where you can come with nothing and be able to create a city that is now the best city in the entire world. Knight Foundation is delighted to have gifted the Miami-Dade College $5 million to be able to continue this project and this legacy. President Pumariega, the Board of Trustees, we would never leave you on the street. That is not something that we would ever do, but it is also your perseverance, your determination, your foresight that makes us so excited to partner with you time and time again. And I will say that what is a uniquely Cuban American experience is that freedom always comes hand in hand with education. And so there is no better steward of who we are as Cuban Americans than Miami-Dade College that can really bring those 2 ideas to light. Thank you so much.
Okay, now I'm going to introduce someone that got inspired by what's happening here. He's an amazing producer, somebody I worked with in radio many years ago, and I now had the surprise to know and heard the song that he wrote. So he's going to now share this beautiful song with all of us, and that's Manuel Lara. Manny Lara, please come up.
Here we go. Bienvenidos a la lucha cotidiana que comenzamos en una tierra lejana, trabajando para un futuro ligero y encaminar a nuestros hijos. Yo te digo es lo primero, tomaremos la ventaja de esta oportunidad y así todos como hermanos vivamos en libertad. Quiero ser libre, voy a gritarlo en alta voz para que miren y tomen en cuenta esta nación. Quiero ser libre, contribuir a esta nación y que nos miren y dar ejemplo de valor. El propósito de ser buen ciudadano, ayudar a quien tenga menos, es poder dar una mano con la fe que los abuelos inculcaron. Nos da la fuerza y esperanza para el sueño americano y de frente al respeto con amor yo te lo pido. La misión se hace más fácil si siempre estamos unidos. Quiero ser libre, voy a gritarlo en alta voz para que miren y tomen en serio esta misión. Quiero ser libre, contribuir a esta nación y que nos miren y dar daré ejemplo de valor. Quiero ser libre, quiero ser libre. Ay, para que miren, para que miren. Quiero ser libre, contribuir a esta nación y que nos miren y dar ejemplo de valor. Quiero ser libre, voy a gritarlo en alta voz para que miren y tomen en serio esta misión. Quiero ser libre, contribuir a esta nación y que nos miren y dar ejemplo de valor. Quiero ser libre.
Yes, Madam President.
Yeah. Wait, can we just, Manny Lara, thank you. Claudia Puig and Libre, one night at 1 a.m, sent me this song, and I fell in love with it. I felt like that was us. And we said we had to collaborate. Judy, Claudia, thank you so much for this gift and for the gift of the partnership for us to be able to do this. And so now I would ask the Board of Trustees to come up for this final presentation. I'd like you to be on stage. And the Greater Miami Chamber of Commerce has a special recognition on behalf of the 14,000 small businesses in Miami to the Freedom Tower and to the District Board of Trustees. Alfred Sanchez.
Thank you, Madam President. What an incredible day it is as a son of a political prisoner. What an honor it is to be here today. For 118 years, the Chamber has been around, and every once in a while, a great while, for extraordinary efforts, for individuals and institutions that have brought incredible value to us shareholders who call this Miami home. We present this very honored award, a chamber stock in Miami, because you deserve, for the investment that you have put into this community, you deserve to have a stock in it, and you have certainly earned it. Madam President, for you and the board, and for especially the work you've done to bring the Freedom Tower back online, to make sure that we all remember, we present this chamber stock in Greater Miami.
Wow. So I know it's been a marathon. So this is the closing, and it won't be long at all because I think everything has been said. What I would like you to do now is have the experience to go upstairs, and again, you could see the towers. There is the theater, and then you go upstairs, and we have refreshments upstairs as well, and then just look at the exhibit. Again, I just want to thank everyone. Quiero decirle a todo el mundo, because I think like the diehards are the ones that are staged, so puedo decirlo todo en español. Quiero decirle a todos gracias. Gracias por estar aquí con nosotros, por acompañarlos, por los sacrificios que hicieron y para seguir en la lucha que Cuba será libre. Gracias y que Dios lo bendiga.
Point of personal privilege. 1, 2, 3. Al combate correr, vaya meses, que la patria os contempla orgullosa. No temáis una muerte gloriosa, que la vivir por la patria es vivir. En cadenas vivir es vivir. En encuentras de boldo surido, el carín escuchar el sonido, a las armas valientes correr. Thank you all for being here. God bless. Enjoy the Freedom Tower. Enjoy. It's yours.